You know, for the longest time, every handheld has tried to capture that console feeling, that plug-and-play simplicity that we all grew up with, but very few have actually nailed it. Even with the original ROG Ally, as powerful as it was, it didn't really feel like gamer-friendly. You had to tweak settings, performance modes, drivers, and honestly, that's where it lost a lot of players. You know, the average gamer doesn't want to jump through hoops just to play a game. They want to just pick it up, turn it on, and start playing. Now, we all know the Steam Deck is king when it comes to that, but Xbox, in collaboration with Asus, has started to make a case with the Xbox ROG Ally X. Now, honestly, I would characterize this as easygoing gaming, much like you would do on an actual Xbox console. I even handed it to my girlfriend who hasn't really dabbled much in gaming, and she was able to navigate, pick a game, and play just fine. It was that easy. But here's the thing. Windows 11 is still under the hood, and for a lot of people that alone can be intimidating. If you have to think too hard to play, you've already lost that natural excitement. That's why the new Xbox style UI changes everything. The moment you boot it up, you're greeted with this clean console-like dashboard. Your library, Game Pass, quick resume, everything is right there, and you don't have to dig through all kinds of menus. It finally feels like an Xbox, not just a PC pretending to be one. And what's wild is how you can see the Steam Deck's blueprint all over it. The same effortless navigation baked right into the Ally X's system, but now with an Xbox twist. So today, I'm going to show you what it's actually like to live with the Xbox ROG Ally X, how it plays, how it feels, and why this might finally be the handheld Xbox gamers have been waiting for. So let's get into it. Now, right from the jump, unboxing this thing, it just feels solid. The first thing you'll notice when you pick it up is the weight. It's about 715 grams, so definitely not light, but in a good way. It feels sturdy, well built, and balanced. The grips are the first real sign that is different from the original Ally. They're deeper, shaped more like an Xbox controller, and honestly, it just feels right when you hold it in your hands. Your fingers naturally fall into place, and there's this nice matte texture that keeps it from slipping. Then you get to the buttons and everything feels tighter. The face buttons have a nice click to them, the D-pad finally feels accurate, and the analog sticks have a bit more resistance now, so small movements feel way more controlled. And those impulse triggers, they're awesome. They've got a bit of a haptic feedback built in, so you actually feel that trigger pull when you're driving or shooting. It's subtle, but it adds so much to the experience. Personally, I like it a lot. Now, what I like most though is how everything feels familiar. If you've ever held an Xbox controller, this feels instantly natural. You can pick it up and just start playing without overthinking it. Compared to the first Ally, which always felt a little too sleek and a bit awkward to hold, this one actually feels like it was designed to play for hours. It's definitely on the larger side, but the shape makes it comfortable enough that you don't really notice it after a while. And that's kind of the point. The moment you grab it, you stop thinking about the hardware and just want to play. Now, the back buttons, those are a bit of a mixed bag. They're there and they do add more functionality if you want to map shortcuts or in-game actions, but honestly, their placement feels a little awkward. You kind of have to adjust your grip to press them comfortably. I get what Asus was going for, but I don't see most people using them all that often. And once you start playing, the next thing that really stands out is the display. And honestly, it's fine. It's a good screen, but it's not something that's gonna blow you away. You're getting a 7-inch 1080p IPS panel that runs at 120 Hz, and it's got a variable refresh rate, which means the refresh rate adjusts based on what you're playing. So when you're in fast-paced shooters or racing games like Halo or Forza Horizon, it stays buttery smooth. But when you're in slower games like Hollow Knight or Stardew Valley, it saves on power and keeps things consistent. But I'll be real, I kind of wish they went with OLED this time around, especially at this price point. Once you've seen the contrast and the colors on the Steam Deck OLED, it's hard not to notice the difference here. Maybe like what Valve did with the Steam Deck, we'll eventually see an OLED upgrade down the line. That'd make this thing feel complete, because right now is the one area that doesn't quite match the rest of the experience. It's not bad by any means, it's just average. You get about 500 nits of brightness, which is fine indoors, but starts to struggle a bit in bright light, and the lack of HDR definitely shows when you're playing darker games or titles that rely on heavy contrast. The upside though is that it's fast. That 120 Hz refresh rate really does make gameplay feel responsive. Even just navigating the Xbox UI, it feels snappy. Everything moves without lag or stutter, and that helps it feel more console-like. So yeah, the display does its job. It's clean, smooth, and reliable, but it's not the wow factor of this device. And speaking about what you see on the screen, that's where things really start to feel different. The new Xbox full screen experience is honestly what ties the whole thing together. If you've ever used a Windows handheld before, you know how rough that experience can be. Pop-ups, driver updates, background apps, it never felt like something built for gaming, and that's what turns so many people off from the original Ally. But now, when you power on the Xbox Ally X, you boot straight into this clean, console-like dashboard. It's simple, focused, and finally feels like something made for players. You got your Game Pass library, your installed titles, and even quick access to Steam, Epic, and other launchers all sitting in one place. It's super easy to navigate using just the joysticks and triggers. And that new Xbox button, it's a game changer. Single press brings up your main menu, and a long press lets you jump between apps or return to your last game, all without touching the screen. It's kind of what SteamOS already does on a Steam Deck, that same seamless console first layout, but this time it's inside a Windows system. It's Xbox's way of meeting players halfway, and honestly, it's about time. Now, there is one important catch, and this is something you'll want to know before you buy it. Even though this thing has Xbox written all over it, you can't actually install or run games from your original Xbox library directly on the device. So if you want to play your console titles, you'll have to stream them from the cloud or from your home Xbox over Wi-Fi. The experience itself is smooth, the latency is low, visuals look great, but it's completely dependent on having a solid internet connection. So if you're somewhere without Wi-Fi, you're out of luck. You won't be able to access or play those titles offline, which kind of takes away from that play anywhere freedom Xbox is trying to promote. Still, as a whole, this new interface changes everything. It takes what was once a confusing PC experience and turns it into something you can just pick up and play. Now, one of the coolest parts about this thing is how you can actually treat it like a real gaming console, like actually. The moment you plug it in, it automatically connects to your monitor or TV, and you're right back inside the Xbox full screen experience. It's kind of wild because this setup used to take a lot of tinkering on the original Ally, switching display modes, messing with scaling, but now it's literally plug and play. Performance stays solid, it runs quietly, and that 120Hz refresh rate makes a big difference on a larger display too. The best part is how natural it all feels. I don't even think about it being a Windows device anymore. Once it's docked, it generally feels like a full Xbox system sitting on my desk. Now, pairing that software with the hardware inside this thing, it's a solid match. You're getting the Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme chip, 24 gigs of LPDDR5X RAM, and a 1TB SSD, which is more than enough for modern AAA titles. That chip isn't just powerful, it's also AI accelerated. So basically, AMD built in dedicated AI engines that help manage performance, thermals, and power efficiency in real time. So when you're gaming, it can automatically balance frame rate and battery life depending on what you're doing. Down the line, this AI integration could make a big difference for handhelds, whether it's predicting your usage habits, optimizing your game modes, or even helping future apps run smarter on Windows. This is something I'm really excited for and hope to see is done properly in the future. So quickly, when it comes to battery life, I'm going to be doing another more in-depth video, but my preliminary testing has gotten some interesting results. Because of the bigger 80-watt power pack, I was really curious to see how much of a difference it makes. In my testing, playing a mix of AAA titles at indie games, I've been getting around 3 to 4 hours of playtime. For something this powerful, that's actually solid. Charging speeds are good too. Going from 0 to 50% took me about 50 minutes, and a full charge from 0 to 100 took roughly an hour and 50 minutes. So yeah, it's not all-day endurance obviously, but for a handheld this capable, the balance between performance and battery life feels right. So now the Xbox has two versions of this handheld. Let's break down the real differences between the Xbox ROG Ally and the Xbox ROG Ally X. On the inside, the X model is running the newer Ryzen Z2 Extreme processor, while the base Xbox Ally keeps the Ryzen Z1 Extreme. It's a small jump, but it gives the X better efficiency and slightly higher performance across most games. The RAM also got a bump. The base model has 16GB, while the X steps up to 24GB, which helps with heavier titles and smoother multitasking. Storage doubles too, 1TB on the X compared to 512 on the regular model. And for battery life, the base Xbox Ally has a 60-watt per hour battery, while the X model upgrades that to a massive 80-watt per hour, which gives you a noticeable boost in playtime. Physically, the X feels more refined, improved grips, impulse triggers instead of the standard ones, and slightly better weight balance thanks to internal layout changes. Everything else is pretty much the same between the both of them. Now, let's talk about all the connectivity that goes into this handheld. You got two USB-C ports. Now, one is USB 4 and the other is USB 3.2 Gen 2. So you can charge and plug in accessories at the same time. There's also a new micro SD slot for expanding storage, which is super handy if you don't want to swap out the SSD. On the wireless side, it's got Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.4, and both have been rock solid. Wi-Fi 6E especially helps with Xbox cloud gaming, streaming from your home console, or even just downloading big updates faster. I've been pairing mine with a few different accessories, my Xbox controller, the Sony XM5 headphones, and everything connects instantly and there's no lags or dropouts. Performance-wise, it holds up great. Games like Halo, Forza Horizon 5, Starfield all run smoothly, especially when you lock the TDP around 25 watts. And because the Xbox UI runs on top of Windows 11, you can still install whatever you want. Steam, Epic, Battle.net, it's all still there, just cleaner and easier to reach. It's honestly the best balance we've seen so far between PC power and console simplicity. Starting with Forza Horizon at 1080p and 25 watts, I was seeing anywhere between 80 and 90 FPS, and it just feels right on this handheld. The screen's 120Hz refresh rate makes the movement feel buttery smooth, and that variable refresh rate keeps it locked in even when frames dip. The colors are great, the controls are responsive. It's the kind of game that really shows off what the device can do. Then there's of course Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I set it to the balance preset, still at 25 watts and average 85 to 95 FPS. What's cool here is how consistent it feels. Even during chaotic gunfights, the frame pacing stays tight. Playing COD on a handheld used to feel a little bit compromised, but here it just feels natural. With Red Dead Redemption 2, things slowed down a bit, but in a good way. At medium settings, it hovered around 50 to 60 FPS, and visually, it's still stunning. The textures, lighting, and depth of field still look rich on the 7-inch screen, and the heavier atmosphere of the game actually pairs well with the Ally X's weight. It feels grounded, cinematic, and immersive. Then, I had to test No Man's Sky because a bunch of you asked for it in the comments on my last video. At 1080p, I was getting around 60 FPS, which was decent, but I started playing around with the settings. After dropping the resolution down to 900p, frame rates jumped to about 80 FPS, and honestly, it looked almost identical visually. And of course, indie games are where Ally X absolutely cruises. Titles like Hollow Knight Silksong, Enter the Gungeon, Dead Cells, all those easily hit 120 frames per second. No dips, no fan noise spike, just smooth gameplay. So whether you're going for big AAA worlds or smaller 2D favorites, the performance holds up across the board. Now the Xbox ROG Ally X is such a great handheld, but there are some misses, and at this price point at about 1,400 Canadian dollars, it's hard to justify to get this if you're already rocking with like the Steam Deck OLED, which is one of my personal favorites. Nonetheless, if you don't have a handheld and you want to try something like this, I would definitely recommend it. Me personally, I would get the X model and not the base model. This one comes at 1 terabyte of SSD and the other one comes at 512. And you know the sizes of games these days, so after like 3 games installed, you're already out of juice. So I would definitely recommend the X here. So I'm definitely going to be posting much more videos on the Xbox ROG Ally X. This is a handheld that I'm super interested in and want to go more in depth with everything that goes on with this thing. So make sure you follow so you can see some of the things I post about it. But until then, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.